What's up, Niner Empire? I'm Jerry Fresh, and this is Fresh Perspective. Today, I want to talk to you about the 49ers getting ready to enter the season, the 2019 into the 2020 season. Very excited, very happy with what the 49ers have been doing behind the scenes in the offseason. The diligence, the hard work, those things have to pay off. What we need is longevity. We need the ability to have sustained success. We can't just make these quick moves. I know a lot of us get frustrated at the fact that we see teams around us making huge moves, especially when they're in our division. We're like, wait, these teams are getting better while we're just kind of staying the same. But I want to kind of give you the viewpoint, the perspective of sustained success or longevity through it all. That it's not a quick sprint, but it is a marathon that we're running here. Jerry Jones just famously said it about Ezekiel Elliott, just basically saying that we need him for when we get close to and into the playoffs. And I agree with Jerry. I don't agree with Jerry on a lot of stuff, but Jerry agrees with Jerry on the fact that this is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And we most definitely need to look at it from that perspective. We need to see that this thing is not going to go to the swift, but to those who can endure and hang on. It is a long season with ups and downs and injuries. And one thing that the preseason has showed us is that we have a deep roster that allows us to move forward, to rest players, or even to go in and be successful when somebody's injured. The best example of a deep roster, a deep position, was when the Eagles had Nick Foles and they were able to continue their run with a quarterback that was not their starter. He stepped into that role and they still won a Super Bowl. Well, the 49ers don't just have that at the quarterback position, they have it throughout the roster. Now, yes, there are some holes in the roster that we're going to have to fix, and I hope just as much as you that those positions don't come up as a reason why we don't make it to where we want to go. But throughout the roster, especially the defensive line, you can see that we are very deep and very ready to continue to endure throughout adversity. So just get ready for that to happen, to see players, to see a roster that is moving forward, to see close games that are being won that were lost last year, and for us to endure. We don't want to just come out the gates and be hyped but not finish. We want to actually endure through and keep going and be ready and rested for the playoffs. This is huge for us. We've been waiting for this. We've been wanting this. We wanted to get our 49ers back to their glory days, and this is the beginning of it. I appreciate John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, what they bring to the table. Number one, the integrity to come in and to get the players that they want and say, we're going to win how we want to win. These men have came in with integrity and said, you know what, I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what the number is, a price for this player is. If we like this player, we're going to come in and pay them as much as we want to. Now, this could come back to bite them, but with Parag Marathe, it seems like they are at a place where they have the ability to negotiate contracts very well, where it has that pop. When you first see it, you're like, whoa, like this player was paid huge for his position. But then when you break down the intricacies of the contract, you're like, well, actually, wow, it's not as bad as I thought initially. And I think that's a strategy of our front office to kind of wow a player with that, boom, this is what the media is going to see. This is what fans are going to initially see, that you got paid a whole bunch of money. But then you look into it and it's very team friendly. I love that the 49ers have created avenues to get in and out of this contract. So we got to be excited, not just about the play on the field, but that our whole organization is strategizing and doing great things to get players in here. Now, I was one of the skeptics that said, why are we getting these players that kind of like just enough players? Like, you got players who are just outstanding free agents, like everybody's bidding on them, but then you have these players that are like fillers, or they're good, but they're not at the top. And it seems like the 49ers are okay with those type of players. Well, I believe John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are saying the bigger picture. It's all about endurance again, longevity. They're saying, you know what? We're not trying to get a player to come in here because not just one player is going to fix this thing. Can we piece players together, positional players together who can come in and do the job that we need them to do, whether it be takeaways, sacks to the quarterback, that others are saying that this one player can do. How about we piece these integral parts together and it will produce? 2 or 3 players produce the same result as that one player. You're still getting the same results, but we're just not doing it by targeting just this extraordinary player. So I appreciate the way that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan continue to use integrity and go about their business. That's exciting that we're not just going to jump in there with the Sharks and just start fighting it out. We're willing to wait, be patient, and to get crucial pieces. I love the depth on our defensive line. I love the depth on our entire team and what we're doing. So kudos to John Lynch. Kudos to Kyle Shanahan. Jed York. This year feels different. Now I see everywhere from 10-6, 11-5, 14-2 is what I'm seeing that the 49er fan base, the 49er empire is predicting, and I'm right there with you. I believe 11-5 is a good spot for these 49ers. So as we get closer to the start of the season, to our first game, I am excited to say that the 49ers will make the playoffs this year because this is our year. This is our time to start something new. I believe Nick Bosa, I believe D Ford, DeForest Buckner, these types of players and the plethora of players that are going to be rotated in and out on that line are going to cause a chain reaction to our defense. Our defense should be top 10. Our offense, Jimmy G, he did scare me like he scared everybody else. In that Denver game, I'm like, whoa, like everything that I was afraid of, the nightmares I was having, this is the worst. You think like, what is Jimmy's problem? Sometimes he throws the ball without looking. So you're thinking like, okay, hopefully this year he'll be better than that. Then he comes out in that Broncos game and you're like, whoa, like everything that I was afraid of, it's there. But then he goes, he trains more, and then the next preseason, he comes out there and he actually plays very well. And you see the touch on the ball, you see the quick release, you see it, the Jimmy G that we paid money to, that we coveted, and you're excited about what he could do. So Jimmy G, if this man can stand in that pocket and deliver the ball with patience to get his footwork correct and right, then I believe he'll be strong. I'm very afraid of a position in our offense, and that's our offensive line. I believe in Joe Staley. I believe in Mike McGlinchey, but all through that, the interior of our offensive line is a scary thing to watch, and I don't know exactly how we're going to address that, because usually you address your positions on your team based off of the division you play in. Like you want to say, okay, well, there's a player like an Aaron Donald who can rush from all over the place, but his bread and butter is collapsing the pocket from the middle. So you believe that the 49ers would say, you know what, this offseason, we're going to make sure that Aaron Donald is not getting in there and not getting our quarterback. But you don't necessarily see the 49ers really targeting that position. Now, there could be a rotational plan that kind of offsets that, stunts, whatever Kyle wants to run, but you really don't see that Pro Bowl guard or center in there that can truly do it. Now, Western Whisper, maybe that's the player that Kyle Shanahan's saying is going to step up this year. Maybe there's some hope in that line, but it's going to be really hard if that offensive line is constantly being berated with these blitzes and not able to hold the pocket for Jimmy G, because we don't want Jimmy G running at all. We don't want Jimmy G out on that sideline getting injured anymore. We want him to be able to stand in there and deliver that ball. So I'm just hoping that it all works out together. My biggest question is if it doesn't work out, and I know we don't like to look at things like that, I'm very optimistic about the 49ers, but if it doesn't work out, should Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch see the door? Should they be fired, or do they need another chance? Are they on the hot seat? That's the question for me. I feel like 3 years you get an opportunity to really move. Jed York has had the ability to let go of coaches in the past, and he has done so very quickly. So you wonder if that's his mindset, or if this is finally the time where he sits back and he says, you know what, I'm going to see this thing through. A lot of coaches need time, especially in the NFL where it's hard to win. We don't want any quick fixes. We don't want anything that's quick. We want something that's going to last and have longevity. So 49er Empire, thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you so much for your subscriptions, your loves.